We've obviously got a parent in the audience because they're asking the question of how should we talk about the subject of miracles with children?
The children's version is coming out in 6 months. How should we talk about miracles with children? I don't have an answer for that. That's a big question. But I think that we do need to...
You have a 15-year-old. How have you talked about this with your daughter?
I said it, you believe it, that settles it. No, I... Imagine my poor daughter having me as a father. I guess, again, I think that just the same way that you'd speak to an adult, you say, like, we want to believe in what's rational, and this is what we know rationally, and it seems that there's something beyond this world that now, I know that that's God, and I believe in the Bible, whatever, but it's rational. Let's talk about it. It's not just something you have to take on faith. And a lot of the stuff in this book is totally understandable by any junior high or high school. It's not impossible to understand. And that's why I say, like, we should all know this stuff. This is shocking stuff. And it's really shocking that we don't know it, it's...
There's a person here who talks about you being recently in the news on the subject of religious freedom, that's a particular area of passion for you. Tell us what's a subject that's so near to your heart.
Well, when I wrote the Bonhoeffer book, I wasn't even thinking about religious freedom, but that's kind of the subject of part of what happened in Germany that set the stage for the horrors that followed, was this idea that the powerful state, and it's the nature of power, right, began to push the church and challenge the church and usurp the authority of the church, right? I mean, where the state says, we don't care what you believe, our beliefs are going to trump your beliefs. And I really have begun to see, if you're paying attention, we've all begun to see the beginnings of that kind of stuff in this culture. And it's really shocking because this is the one country created specifically with this idea of religious freedom, that you cannot tell someone what to believe, that is sacrosanct, that we have freedom of conscience, freedom of speech, that we absolutely have that freedom to believe and say what we like. And so when the government begins to push against that, that's scary. That's really scary. And I've been, the Cassandra trying to warn people and say, you need to wake up. Especially people of faith, but every American needs to understand this is not okay. This is a principle that is going to, when you push against religious freedom and you start telling people, this is what the government has decided about contraception, and if you don't like it, you can stuff it. That's not good. It doesn't matter your view of contraception. The point is when the state is telling, the Catholic Church or people who are opposed to abortifacient drugs or something, like, we don't really care like this, we've now decided it's okay, and the government's going to get behind it with all our might. You think, wait a second, not in America. You cannot do that. You have to, freedom of religion is the first freedom. It has to take precedence, because once you do that, it will undermine all of our freedoms. And it's kind of got me thinking a lot about the issue of freedom in a way that I hadn't before, and how religious freedom has to be protected, and how people in America have to wake up to this principle, because it is a principle that really, once that line is crossed. When the Houston mayor recently was demanding that pastors, show the sermons, I think smoke literally came out of my ears. I said, in America, that a state official, a municipal official, but an official of the state in the government would dare in America tell pastors that they have to, no, not in America. We cannot tolerate that. And so it's a big issue for me. Yeah.
Yeah. So recently this person watched a video on your website and said that you gave a talk where you talked about we have to know as Christians what we're for and not just what we're against. And can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, I guess, first of all, if you believe in religious freedom, you believe in religious freedom for all. So it's not about religious freedom for Christians. It's a principle that the founders gave us for everybody, including freedom of religion for atheists, freedom of religion for, in other words, the idea that you can believe what you like and not just believe it, but exercise your faith, right? 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, not just on Sundays in your church or whatever. we need to understand that and exercise it. It's not just, again, about being, I'm against this or I'm against that or whatever. It's about something that the founders understood, that without that, there is no America, that we thrive because we have religious freedom and because we have no religious tests, so to speak, right? Meaning that you can't say to a judge or whatever, like, oh, you can't believe that stuff. It's nobody's business what somebody's religion is, what they believe. Once the state begins making those decisions, we're in big trouble. And we, especially Christians, and I know there are some here, need to have we really need to know what it is that we have and what it is that we believe. And I think that we've had it so good had so much religious freedom in America that we don't really know what it is. Like, we kind of take it for granted. And I think it's begun to be threatened, and we need to take that really, really, really seriously.
Amen.
So, yeah.
There's a question here, and we're almost done, is should we be asking God for more miracles that he might be getting the glory? Should we be asking God for that?
That's a simple one, yes.
Okay.
No, I say that's part of why I wrote the book, is because I want to encourage people to say, like, look, this is real. The God of the Bible is not a God of rules and laws. He wants to have a relationship with us. He wants to encourage us to talk to him, to ask him things, and to expect him to speak to us in various ways, sometimes through a miracle, sometimes through something less dramatic. But that's, there are people who need to be discouraged from that, but most of us need to be encouraged to really expect God to speak, and then to use our rational minds to tell the difference between when it's actually God or when it's something I ate or something I want it to be because that's really important, but at the same time, most of us could use a little more encouragement in that direction.
So